Unit 2, Poetry 1. The Felling of the Banyan Tree. Poet Dilip Chitre. Meaning फेल FELL फेल झाड तोडून टाकणे. Demolished 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 means destroyed, pulled down, नष्ट केली, जमीनदोस्त केली. Massacred 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 means cut out with pity, निर्दयपणे तोडून टाकली. Circumference 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 means the distance round the trunk of the tree, झाडाचा घेर. Scraggly 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 means growing irregularly, वेडेवाकडे वाढलेले, अव्यवस्थित. Aerial roots means roots hanging down from the tree, जमिनीचा वर किंवा हवेत लोंबकळणारी मुळे. Sawing 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 means cutting with saw, करवतीने कापणे. Massive 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 means big, मोठा. Chopped 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 means cut into small pieces, लहान तुकड्यात कापणे. Rings means tree rings, the rings in the trunk of a झाडाचं वलय, झाडाच्या खोडात असलेले वलय त्याचे वाढण्याचे वर्ष दर्शवतात. फॅसिनेशन FASCINATION फॅसिनेशन मीन्स ग्रेट इंटरेस्ट, आकर्षकता. स्लॉटर SLAUGHTER स्लॉटर मीन्स मर्सिलेस कटिंग, निर्दयपणे कापणे. मायथॉलॉजी MYTHOLOGY mythology means beliefs or opinions that people have, लोकांमध्ये असलेला विश्वास किंवा मते. Seeds SEETHES seeds means become alive, जिवंत होतात. Summary Tenants live in the houses around the poet's house on the hill. One day the poet's father told them to leave. When the tenants left, their houses were demolished one by one. Only the poet's own house and the trees remained. His grandmother used to tell them that trees were sacred and felling them was a crime. But the poet's father felled them all. The Shevga, the Audumbar and the Neem. The huge banyan tree remained to be felled. It was a problem. Its root went very deep into the soil. It was very much older than all of them. Nevertheless, the poet's father ordered it to be cut down. Describing the banyan tree, the poet says that it was 3 times as tall as their house. The trunk had a circumference of 50 feet. The thin aerial roots of the tree fell to the ground from the height of 30 feet or so. Woodcutters were engaged and they first cut the branches of the banyan tree. They took 7 days to saw off the branches and they made a huge heap. Insects and the birds that had settled in the tree began to leave it. The trunk of the tree was so huge that it needed 50 men with axes to continuously chop it down. The poet and others watched the chopping in alarm. They were also fascinated because the rings of the big trunk showed that it was 200 years old. The act of felling the banyan tree signified modern man's severing of ties with his rich past and heritage and his plunging into a barren life in an urban landscape. Soon after this, the poet and his family left Baroda for Bombay. The poet says that the banyan tree remained in his memory. However, there are no trees in Bombay. The only tree in the Bombay is the one that grows and becomes alive in one's dreams. These trees' aerial roots are on the lookout for the ground to take root. बरगद के पेड़ का कटना। कवि के घर के आसपास पहाड़ पर किराएदार रहते थे। एक दिन कवि के पिता ने उन्हें निकल जाने को कहा। जब किराएदार चल गए, उनके घरों को एक एक कर गिरा दिया गया। केवल कवि का स्वयं का घर एवं पेड़ बचे रहे। उसकी दादी उनसे कहा करती थी कि पेड़ पवित्र थे एवं उन्हें काटना गुनाह था, किंतु कवि के पिता ने सभी को काट कर गिरा दिया, चौगा, औदुंबर एवं नीम। केवल विशाल बरगद का पेड़ गिराने से बचा रहा। यह एक समस्या थी। इसकी जड़ें मिट्टी में काफी गहरे तक गई थी। यह उन सब में ज्यादा पुराना था, तो भी कवि के पिता ने उसे काटने का आदेश दिया। बरगद के पेड़ का वर्णन करते हुए कवि कहता है कि यह उनके घर से 3 गुना लंबा था। तने का घेरा 50 फुट का था। हवा में लटकने वाली इसकी जड़ें 30 या अधिक फुट की ऊंचाई से जमीन पर लटकती थी। लकड़ी काटने वाले व्यस्त हो गए एवं उन्होंने पहले बरगद के पेड़ की टहनियों को काटा। उन्हें टहनियां काटने में 7 दिन लगे एवं उनका बड़ा ढेर लगाया। कीड़े व पक्षी जो पेड़ पर रहे थे जाने लगे। पेड़ का तना इतना बड़ा था कि इसे काटने में आरियों के साथ लगातार 50 लोगों की जरूरत पड़ी। कवि एवं अन्य लोग पेड़ के कटने को भयातुरता से देखते रहे। वे आकर्षित भी थे, क्योंकि बड़े तने के गोल फेरे दर्शा रहे थे कि यह 200 वर्ष पुराना था। बरगद के पेड़ का गिरना आधुनिक आदमी का उसके संपन्न भूतकाल से संपर्क तोड़ने एवं शहरी दृश्य में निष्फल जीवन में छलांग लगाने का संकेत देता है। इसके तुरंत बाद कवि व उनका परिवार बड़ौदा छोड़कर बॉम्बे चला गया। कवि कहता है कि बरगद का पेड़ उसके स्मरण में है। हालांकि बॉम्बे में कोई वृक्ष नहीं था। मुंबई में एक पेड़ है जो किसी के सपने में बढ़ता है एवं जीवित रहता है। यह पेड़ अपनी जड़ें निकालने के लिए जमीन खोज रहा है। क्वेश्चंस एंड आंसर्स। शॉर्ट आंसर क्वेश्चंस। Answer the following questions in about 75 words each. Question 1. What is the significance of the last 4 lines of the poem, The Felling of the Banyan Tree? How does it relate to the rest of the poem? Or, bring the symbolism of Banyan Tree and show how it is linked to the theme of the poem. Answer. The old and huge banyan tree is a symbol of permanence, stability, tradition, immobility, and conservatism. The cutting down of the banyan tree, therefore, is symbolic of the severance of one's ties with one's roots. It also signifies the loss of permanence and immobility. Having become rootless, the poet and his family leave Baroda for Mumbai. This movement points to the modern man's plunging into the barren life in an urban landscape where there are no trees except the ones that grow in one's dream. Question 3. What is the attitude of speaker toward the cutting down of the banyan tree? Which lines and words in the poem reveal this? Answer. The speaker in the poem does not advocate the cutting down of the banyan tree. This is because the speaker believes that the tree has been a symbol of permanence, stability, tradition, immobility, and conservatism. Besides, its roots lay deeper than our lives. Therefore, it was unthinkable for the speaker to be without roots. The speaker says that it was with terror and fascination that they watched this slaughter. Hence, the speaker's attitude toward the cutting down of the banyan tree is one of the disturbing disbelief. Question 4. How was the banyan tree different from the other trees? How does the poet describe the tree? Answer. The banyan tree was very different from other trees. Unlike other trees, its roots went very deep into the soil. It was much older than anyone who lived in the house. In fact, it was 200 years old, judging from the rings of its trunk. As for its height, it was 3 times as tall as the poet's house. The trunk had a circumference of 50 feet. The thin aerial roots of the tree fell to the ground from a height of 30 feet or so. Question 5. What are the central themes of the poem, The Felling of the Banyan Tree? Answer. The cutting down of the banyan tree brings out the concepts of relocation as well as man's severance of ties with the roots. Another theme is the theme of the moment as the tenants are forced to vacate the premises and trees are felled and taken away. Interwoven with the themes of moment and change are themes of tradition, stability, and family, which are represented symbolically by the huge old banyan tree. Question 6. Where there are no trees except the one which grows and seeds in one's dream, what does the poet refer to in these lines? Answer. Soon after the banyan tree was cut down, the poet and his family left Baroda for Mumbai. The poet says that the banyan tree still remained in his memory for a long time. However, there are no trees in Mumbai. The only tree in the Mumbai is the one that grows and becomes alive in one's memory. These trees' aerial roots are on the lookout for ground to take root and grow. The deeper meaning is that after being separated from the roots, modern man plunges into a barren life in an urban landscape. Question 7. Describe the efforts to fell banyan tree. Answer. Woodcutters were engaged and they first cut the branches of the banyan tree. They took 7 days to saw off the branches and they made huge heap. Insects and birds that had settled in the tree began to leave it. The trunk of the tree was so huge that it needed 50 men with access to continuously chop it down. The poet and others watched the chopping in alarm. They were also fascinated because the rings of the big trunk showed that it was 200 years old. The act of felling the banyan tree signified modern man's severing of ties with his rich past and heritage and his plunging into the barren life in an urban landscape. Very short answer questions. Answer the following question in 1 or 2 sentences each. Question 1. Why do you think the poet's father requested the tenants to leave? Answer. The poet's father requested the tenants to leave because their houses were going to be demolished. Question 2. What was the grandmother's opinion about the felling of the trees? Answer. The grandmother's opinion was that the felling of the trees was a crime as they were sacred. Question 3. What kind of personality does the poet's father have? Answer. The poet's father has an adamant and dominating personality. Question 4. How many days did the workmen take to cut the branches of the banyan tree? Answer. The workmen took 7 days to cut the branches of the banyan tree. Question 5. What is referred to as a problem in the poem? Answer. The huge banyan tree is referred to as a problem in the poem. Question 6. What was the children's, that means including the speaker, reaction to the felling of the banyan tree? Answer. The children's reaction to the felling of the banyan tree was one of terror and fascination. Question 7. How old was the banyan tree? Answer. The banyan tree was 200 years old. Question 8. How did the insects and the birds react to the felling of the banyan tree? Answer. The insects and the birds left the tree. Question 9. How many men were engaged to chop the banyan tree? Answer. 50 men were engaged to chop the banyan tree. Chapter complete.